So yeah, grind 34. It's going to be a truth. It's going to be a truth episode. This is going to take a lot of care. Ow! Whew. January 2 for most of you, anyway. So, yeah, truth, or the lack thereof it. Insofar as recently and commonly, unfortunately, any kind of internet debate invariably draws in the troll. And I wanted to talk a little bit about the art of trolling, which is something I don't believe I do, but I have certainly encountered it often enough that I think I have a pretty good idea of how to describe it for those of you who may not be sure whether or not you are or are not a troll. Stop, please. I'm glad those things don't have a throwback. Maybe my rows should be wider. But I need lime green dye, like there is no tomorrow. Or no next year, for that matter. How am I doing? 31, not bad. Okay, so it's probably... Ow! Stop! I don't remember it being this hard before. So, the reason why I'm thinking of this is because I've been in this sort of like slow-paced argument on, of all places, Imgur, or Imgur. I've never been entirely sure, hello, Facebook, speaking of which, what it was supposed to be called. However, it began with something about dolphins, and somebody showed an image of a dolphin brain next to a human brain and how much bigger than a human brain is. And while there is absolutely no argument that dolphins are actually quite brilliant, the comment that I made was basically, well, first make sure before make sure to understand that brain size alone is not indication of intelligence. There are other things to consider. For example, all of the autonomic functions. You're talking, all the organs, basically. I don't know about the heart. The heart, I almost suspect, though I don't know, is kind of a standalone. Oh, I mean, it still is connected by nerves, but, its function doesn't have to be exactly... Actually, I take that back. Considering its responsiveness to external stimuli, like fear and working out and stuff like that, it probably is quite entangled with the brain. But for the most part, let me just ask you, when you go outside and go for a walk, or if you go and play soccer or football or baseball with your friends, or go hiking, things like that, to what extent are you actually thinking about the physics and equations and math that goes into figuring out exactly how to move and to what extent to move each individual muscle of the hundreds of muscles you have in your body? Are you literally sitting down and doing the calculations before you commit to this? Or are you relying on a computer that already has learned how to do all this for you? You're not thinking about, you say, well, I want to put my hand here and there, yes, but just doing that involves, and I don't even know how many muscles, not to mention making sure increased blood flow gets to various places, and, it's no small feat. So basically, the point is, and this is a well-understood thing, the brain itself is not well understood, but it's getting better. But as a generality, the more musculature, and the more functions, and the larger those functions are that you have, the more brain mass must exist to back up these processes, to be responsible for them. So a larger creature, as a strong generality, has more brain mass. And so the simpler way to look at this, probably not 100% accurate, But the simpler way to look at this is the bigger the body, the bigger the brain. Therefore, you can use a ratio to sort of begin your quest for understanding how much brain power they have left over for things like intelligence. And this is made apparent by observations of some very intelligent creatures. For example, the crow, which has a tiny brain, but it also has a tiny body. But it is a problem solver in ways that are very impressive even to human beings. And it has demonstrated capacity for language and dialects and long memory and just all these things that for a long time we associated only with human beings. Well, no, crows actually are pretty good at it too. Well, anyways, some guy immediately started attacking this statement. Hello. And he didn't bother to provide any relevant material whatsoever. He just said, I don't agree with you. And I was like, okay, well, and I linked him to the Wikipedia page on body mass ratio so that he could get an introductory, not necessarily, deep, but introduction to the concept from which I was basing my perspective. And so he then begins to attack Wikipedia. Well, obviously Wikipedia is a piece of crap. Not, I'm paraphrasing heavily because he didn't say that. But that was the implication. But he had to pair that implication with a personal attack against me. It's amusing that I would think Wikipedia was a resource of any value. Turns out, actually, it is. There have been studies on this, and while the amount of inaccuracies are prolific on it, the absolute volume of data is also prolific, and the ratio there has proven itself to make it actually, per capita, more accurate than even the Encyclopedia Britannica, the most up-to-date version. This was done like 3 or 4 years ago, so things may have changed. And yes, it's a battleground for people who have, again, trolls versus non-trolls. They're probably all throughout Wikipedia. So yes, regard with caution, but it is a great place if you're not familiar with the topic from which to start. And then you grow from there and go into more up-to-date stuff like the arXiv, and I don't even know if it's supposed to be pronounced like that, but I say arXiv. And science journals and all that stuff. The things that I referred to in this argument as the prevailing research, which technically it is. So, but, he tried then to lump the two statements together as if they were one to suggest that I was saying Wikipedia was prevailing research, which even itself is not a completely ridiculous thing to say, because those who really do care about prevailing research are going to be quite energetic about updating Wikipedia. And, of course, they'll run into their own trolls, and it'll be a battle, but whatever. I mean, there's an example I know of from personal experience where trying to tell the truth about a particular incident will get, from Maine revolving a rock hounding incident, so to speak, this thing called the Rose of Maine. Any mention of what actually happened to the Rose of Maine will be deleted. So there's some guy who is militantly controlling that information. So yes, Wikipedia has its issues, but so does everything. Anyways, this isn't the only person who's done this sort of thing to it. But, this looks like he'll reply every other day or so. And I will genuinely try to keep up with him, but the entirety, 0 of his replies have offered any alternative perspective. There has been no attempt to say why he disagrees. It's just been personal attacks, character assassination, ad hominem, which is kind of the same thing, accusations. Basically, he's just being combative, which it goes into what my definition of what trolling is. And it's an intrinsically dishonest way, because if you actually... I guess there's 2 ways you could look at that. Either the person just wants to fight and doesn't actually care about the data, or they actually want to tamp down on something that they may even know is true but don't want to be true. And so they think might makes right. If I fight it, it will stop being true. Maybe? That's a stretch, but as I'm saying, this is not the only person who's done this. I have an uncle who is, he's like in his 60s now, I think, and he's absolutely super troll. The advent of the internet has probably satisfied his every wish and dream in life. And he just does the same thing. It's like you say something, he disagrees with it. His way of doing it is he'll start with "that's stupid," basically. That couldn't possibly be true because common sense says, this guy being basically living example of the fact that common sense is or actually that sense itself is not common at all. And so common sense is essentially an oxymoron as far as words go. But do I still have room? Oh, I got tons of room. Okay. Well, but it's just this long thing. And when he can't actually get you to get angry, which is I think their goal, and get stupid, because whenever you're angry you get stupid, and sink to his level, he'll then start attacking you or whatever you care about on a more personal basis. And they think this isn't as an effective or legitimate debate mechanism. It's really strange. So yeah, I guess in conclusion then, I'd say that as best I have observed, the art of being a troll involves avoiding actual information. You will, or basically the first step is you want to pick a fight. That for some reason combat or vocal or lingual combat is the goal. Not bettering anyone's understanding of anything, not actually defending a topic or attacking a topic, but starting a fight. That's it. That's all they care about. So that's the opening opening salvo, so to speak. The purpose. And then the tactics behind it essentially are rhetoric. Just say things that you think sound good or you think are meaningful, but have absolutely no data to back up. You just, I think this, so it must be true. Effectively rhetoric. When that doesn't work, or you can't convince someone based purely on what you want to say, hello, get me out of here. Oh, those two probably grew since. When that can't work for you, then you begin just kind of childish statements like, that's stupid, or that doesn't make any sense, or things like that. And if that doesn't work, then it goes on to ad hominem, which is basically character assassination, insulting the person on a personal basis. If you attack them, then their argument must be invalid. That sort of thing. So that's very common amongst trolls. And again, all of this seems to be entirely based on the desire to cause trouble and nothing else. Let's see, how many of these do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 should be good for now. So basically you do this. This is really expensive, making green dye. I figured there was an easier way to do it, but this turns out to be the way that I found. Expensive. Is it over here? Yes, okay. Put all these back. So yeah, there you have it. If that's a short episode, so be it. Maybe that wasn't as cohesive as I would have liked, but that's what I believe. And I have, contrary to the troll, I have actual evidence to back up my position and my perspective. I might be wrong, but at least I have based it on something of substance. No troll will ever do that for you. So that's a pretty good indicator. So there you have it. The anti-truth commentary of the day. And yeah, good stuff. All right, so thanks for watching. Please come again later, and please have a good one in the meantime.